Hi there, everybody. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wentz. It is Wednesday evening. No, this is not a misfired video. This is a purposeful video tonight. I know it's a little off in terms of not being a Sunday night, but I mentioned this earlier. We're going to talk about the system moving in. We've got some wind and some rain on the way. On the scale of big deal, this isn't going to be a huge deal, but it is a powerful storm, and it's really ramping up now as that low pressure gets developed, and it is going to bring us some pretty strong wind tomorrow. So think in terms of power outage potential, garbage can flying down the street potential, that kind of thing. We've got a little rain with it as well. There's going to be a pretty decent cold drop in temperatures on the backside of this. So it's going to be a pretty impactful 24 hours, and then it's out of here. So we're going to talk about what those 24 hours look like on this special edition here as we get you updated here on this Wednesday evening edition of Region Weather Live. And good evening to you, everybody. Thank you for joining us here, Susan. Good evening to you. She's welcoming the family together tonight. What's up, Dave? Hey, Jeff. Don Z, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. Certainly appreciate that. Couple things I want to get to first. I want to briefly thank our sponsors, as always. Again, this is a bonus Region Weather Live tonight. So Tiger Plumbing, Ewing Mechanical Services, Discovery Travel, Griegers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, all just part of the family, and they keep the show for free, which is great. Justin, hi to you as well. Thanks for joining us, buddy. I also want to thank a wonderful new partnership that we're starting up with St. Jude House. A lot of you have heard of the wonderful work they've been doing in Northwest Indiana. They just launched something this month. If you don't know what they are, basically they're a safe place that you can go if you're a victim of domestic violence. And that comes in many forms. None of them are pretty, right? But they can be financial or mental as well. It's a safe place where you can go with that. What they just launched this month, which they need help getting the word out about, is they have a mobile advocacy program. So basically they'll go meet anyone that needs to meet in a public place, wherever that happens to be, to sort things out, to give you some help. And they really are making a difference in Northwest Indiana. I know it's not a pretty thing to talk about, but it is in terms of the work that they're doing in the region. And they're not asking for business. What they're asking for is to get the word out. A shocking statistic they gave to me, 1 in 7 men and 1 in 4 women are victims of domestic violence at some point in their life, whether it be now or the past or the future. That's a shocking number. So if you look around the workplace, whatever it happens to be, there's probably someone that you know. So just consider that. Again, get the word out about the great work they're doing there at St. Jude House. And I'm really, really happy to partner up with them, as they just now, a couple of days ago, launched their mobile advocacy program, which is a huge deal for them. So we certainly appreciate them and support what they do here in the region. All right, so let's get to it. In terms of the forecast, this is what we're dealing with weather-wise. Big old area low pressure down towards the south. This has a lot of rain. We've got severe weather on the leading edge of this as well, heading through areas of Mississippi. You notice some of the rain trying to get up here in the region. This first wave of rainfall really not doing a whole lot. The models thought this would be a little bit better organized. I'll give you a closer view here, and you can see this initial batch just kind of showery at this point. There's no real heavy rain with it. What we're going to wait on tonight is this batch of heavier rain you see pushing out of Missouri, areas of western Kentucky. That all moves in with this area of low pressure. And right in this area right here, we're seeing really good lift. So this will likely fill in back towards Missouri. That comes in tonight. So tonight we get some heavy rain out of this. The wind is going to start to pick up tonight. You're really going to notice the wind tomorrow morning. And the reason why is this area of low pressure right back towards Arkansas, that is deepening. So remember, as we always talk about, these areas of low pressure are literally vacuums in the sky. So it's actually an area of lower pressure in the atmosphere where everything's going up. There's lots of lift with it. So you have to fill that air, fill that void of air. So that's the wind that rushes in. So as this low deepens or gets stronger and has more pull up with it, more wind has to rush in along that. And that's what's going to create this wind field, not just for us, but all over the Ohio Valley here as we go into the daytime Thursday. All right. So rain tonight, morning rush hour, likely some rain left over. And then we'll be dealing with the wind for much of the day tomorrow, and then a temperature drop on the backside of that. So let's talk about that. Here's how the system evolves. This is where we kind of pick things up. You see how everything kind of fills in down towards Missouri. That will push northeastward and bring us our rain tonight. In terms of timing on this, let me get my timestamp back so we know. This is going to be tomorrow morning about 6 a.m. So we're going to have gusty winds out of the east-southeast tomorrow morning for that commute, likely some rain around the region. Maybe a rumble of a thunder. The Storm Prediction Center actually has us under a marginal risk for severe weather tomorrow. It's not going to come in form of thunderstorms that you hear about in the summertime, with the thunder and lightning, all that. It's going to come in form of some gusty showers that could have some damaging winds with them. So that's something we'll keep our eye on. I think biggest threat for that's going to be down towards Indianapolis, back towards Ohio, where we've got a little bit more instability down towards the south, but still some gusty winds within some of the showers can't be ruled out. As we go throughout the morning, notice how that frontal boundary is passing through. Here's the interesting thing, and I talked about this in the post this morning. We've got a wind advisory out, all right? And the Weather Service is calling for wind gusts to 55 miles per hour. It's not going to be constant. Most of the time, winds are going to be anywhere from 15 to probably 30 miles per hour. So it's going to be a windy morning. But as this low pressure goes over us tomorrow, it's almost like the eye of a hurricane where everything becomes calmer because you've got the wind flowing around it. When the low goes over us, it's literally that vacuum where all the wind is coming into it and going up, so you don't feel as much wind. So I think tomorrow during the latter half of the morning through early afternoon, as this low passes over us, I think our winds are going to get much lighter around here, which is going to be kind of eerie because that's going to be the actual low over us. Meanwhile, strong winds in Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Missouri, Southern Illinois. It's kind of going to be interesting tomorrow. But if that low passes right over us, which I'm expecting it to do, I do think we have a several-hour window of some lighter winds tomorrow. So a lot of people are going to say, this wind advisory, it's not even windy outside. What's going on? Well, that's why the low is going to pass over us. So that strong wind threat looks to be morning during the rush hour and then again in the afternoon. And here's why. As that low pressure heads over us, we turn our wind around, right? We literally go through the eye of the low, and then the wind, instead of being out of the southeast, will turn out of the northwest and sharply in the afternoon. So for that afternoon rush hour tomorrow, we're going to have a very, very strong cold wind blowing in on the backside of the system. And I think that's going to be one of our gustier periods, is going to be in the afternoon and evening tomorrow, when winds could once again gust 30, 40, maybe 50 miles per hour at times. In terms of rainfall, we'll have that morning chance of rain. We'll have kind of scattered showers as that low goes over, but nothing concrete. In the afternoon, we'll bring rain back in with that gusty wind. And here's your snow. If you have business travel plans, whatever it happens to be up into Wisconsin and Western Illinois tomorrow, you see the snow on here, but this is a big deal. This is going to be some really heavy snow where they're going to pick up anywhere from 4 to 8 inches in a matter of 4 to 8 hours. They're going to have some really decent snowfall rates with that as that works north and east. For us, though, not a whole lot in terms of snowfall. In fact, we'll just get a couple flurries on the back end here tomorrow night. And then you notice the wind or those isobars start to separate a little bit. So we'll see lighter wind as we go on into the daytime Friday, but it will be on the colder side. And there'll be a few flurries around here as well. All right, so that's what we've got to get through. In terms of the wind gusts, this is the latest model run. I want to show this to you. Then we'll talk temperatures, and then we'll go a little bit long range just because you guys are here, and then we'll answer your questions, and we'll get you on your way, as I always say here on this Wednesday evening. Here are your wind gusts. Again, here's tonight. Let me zoom this up just a little bit so I can see the timestamp on there. This is tonight. This is as we go through tomorrow morning. This is about 10 o'clock in the morning. Notice how the winds go from 15, 25 miles per hour to all of a sudden we have gusts over 30 into the 40 range. That's initially. Here's that center of the low going over us where wind gusts go lighter for a couple hours. And then on the backside, that's when I think we get some of the stronger winds once again, especially near and along the lake, because it'll be unimpeded at that point, where we get gusts 30 to 40. So wind advisory, I think, was smartly issued by the Weather Service instead of going high wind warning. I don't think we're going to see gusts 55, 60. We'll see. Some things can be impressive with these systems, but it's still going to be a windy day regardless. And then the winds really die out after that. In terms of temperatures, this is going to be interesting because you're going to go out the door tomorrow morning and say, wow, what a nice spring-like day. But then remember that evening rush hour, everything is going to be coming at us from the north. So not the case. So in terms of temps, there's this little envelope within this of warmer air. This gets here tomorrow morning where we'll probably peak up into the low 50s with that wind around, and watch what happens by afternoon. We go from 50s down to the 40s, down to the 30s. Here's your evening drive home, much, much colder with that northwest wind around here. So as you're heading out tomorrow morning, if you think maybe spring jacket might be the way to do it, not the case. I would pack the winter gear tomorrow because it's going to be much colder on your trip home, okay? Last thing I want to show you here is we'll go a little bit long range here with the latest model runs here of the Euro, because there's not much happening. We really get quiet after this. We turn a little bit colder for the weekend, but seasonably cold. It looks dry at this point. Remember, Sunday night, we were watching what was going to happen with this little lobe of energy right here. This kind of merged with the system and it brought us some snow. Well, they've separated over the last couple of days, so this really isn't much at all. It's a little cutoff area of low that goes well south of us. East Coast was relying on that for some snow, and that has totally changed over the last 3 days. But as we go through time here, Saturday, dry. We'll start to warm things back up again on Sunday. There'll be some kind of system down towards the Tennessee Valley, but I don't even think with a model shift that'll change and hit us. And then a weak system comes through here Monday night, Tuesday, maybe some rain, snow with that. Again, not a big deal with that. And then we deal with a very similar looking setup and a very similar looking system next Wednesday. So almost like clockwork, a week from today, dealing with another rainmaker coming out of the Gulf. The change in the Euro today, what it had yesterday was it brought the system out of the Gulf next week. It brought warm air up here, and then it kind of backloaded, and there was another low we had to wait on while we stayed in the spring-like warmth. What happened today was it brings that initial system in here next Wednesday, Thursday, with some warm air, some spring-like temperatures, and some rain, but it quickly brings the cold back in, and you can see it here on the modeling. The second system here next Friday, instead of this being a warm one, it takes a low down to the south, and that brings the cold air in, and that could produce some accumulating snow. So we'll keep our eye on that. Again, the Euro changed so much. All the models actually agree with this, but they all changed so much in the last 24 hours that we're not going to say, hey, next Friday the 17th, which is getting into President's Day weekend, we're not going to say that that's going to happen, all right? But at this time, we do need to watch that system. There'll be some kind of low next Wednesday, and then there'll be some kind of low after that, probably next Thursday, Friday, all right? All indication is, go ahead and ask your questions if you've got them. All indication is that we turn colder to end the month. It can only get colder, right? But it looks like that transition takes place President's Day weekend. So the 17th through the 20th, we bring in more of a colder pattern around here. And we can still get pretty darn cold late February and early March around here. So just keep that in mind. There have been seasons, and I know I already see the comments coming in, and I do want to talk about this, just the way this winter's gone so far, right? We haven't had a winter. We can't sleep on March, and I'm not saying that as a hopeful snow lover. I'm not. We've had years before where we've had quiet January, quiet February, and then we've got nailed in March with heavy snows, 1 or 2 snowstorms. It can happen. Is it going to happen this year? Who knows? All right. We can't tell you what March is going to bring. We can look at analogs for years that were much like this February is, much like this January is. Some of them point towards a cold March. Most of the modeling long-term that I've been looking at has pointed towards a cold March. Doesn't mean it'll have a lot of snow in it, but it means it's going to delay spring. I've also seen some reports that are saying spring's going to come early this year. So the bottom line is we just don't know. There's so many different ideas. There's so many different teleconnections that could cause something to happen in the month of March. And the weather changes every day. So you could have a week of cold and a week of warm, and then it balances out. So there you go. All right. In terms of your questions, we'll be happy to answer those. I hope that kind of settled how we are looking in terms of the next 24 hours. Again, a windy rainmaker on the way. Most of the rain's going to come tonight into early tomorrow morning. The wind will pick up for that morning rush hour. It'll be a warmer start to the day, and then a colder colder finish to the day as the cold air wraps in behind the system, and not a lot of snow with this one either. Okay. Deshaun, hello. Yeah, I appreciate you watching us on your YouTube app on your Roku TV. That's awesome, Deshaun. Technology, you're a lot smarter than I am with that stuff, but no, I'm not that old. I understand what you're saying. AJ says this really has been the winter that wasn't. It's unbelievable, AJ. I mentioned this Sunday, but it's the Western U.S. has had all of the snow. I mean, they're way above average in terms of snow. The upper Midwest has gotten hit hard. Areas of Minnesota, the Dakotas have had a bad winter. They've had several snowstorms. They're 2 feet above average in snowfall for a lot of spots up there. So people have gotten snow. It just hasn't been here, and it hasn't been the eastern half of the country at all. Its pattern has just brought the warm air from the Gulf up more often than not. It's pretty incredible. This time last year we had a snowstorm, says Leanna. I believe it. I'm not good with writing things down like that, but I usually rely on Facebook memories to tell me what happened last year, but I believe it. And we can have snowstorms, obviously, this month and into March. So don't sleep on it. But again, the next snowstorm potential we have, if we do have one, isn't until next week. And again, that's still way out of, and in the future, and it's still in question. But if we were to get some accumulating snow, it wouldn't be until next week. So that's another week gone by where we don't have anything. AJ says, historically, with our quiet winters, we do usually get at least one late snowstorm. Had a lack of precip in general, just not the mild temps. Yeah, it's been interesting. And AJ, that's why I love weather so much, is that we just don't know. I mean, we can go 7 to 10 days out accurately. Like everything I show you on these broadcasts are things that I'm confident in showing, right? And I'll tell you if I'm not confident in it. So there's that. But overall, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, Leanne, I appreciate that. I think you mean groundhog on that. Reed, you're welcome. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you joining me here tonight, for sure. Maxwell asks, do you expect the Weather Service to downgrade the wind advisory? Most gusts are to southeast west. Yeah, Maxwell, I don't think they'll downgrade it. They'll let it fly. I think we'll get some good gusts, as I mentioned, in the morning, and then some good gusts later in the afternoon. But this isn't going to be a 12 to 18 hour of constant strong wind gusts. And I think the wind advisory is good enough. I really do. I think we'll have gusts over 30. I think we may have some gusts to 40 at times, but it's during those two windows of time with lighter wind kind of in between as that low pressure goes up over us. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for sure. All right. Yeah, Maxwell says the low pressure is going to look beautiful on radar tomorrow. Maxwell, you're absolutely right, my friend. It is. It already looks beautiful. This thing is really getting wrapped up right now. And it's one of those just perfect things that you draw in weather school with the low pressure attached. And it just looks really, really nice on there. Susan, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Well, we'll let you go here tonight. Again, not a big deal tomorrow. The system's going to come in. It's going to have some wind. So just think about the things you need to do. If you have some loose stuff in the lawn, which you probably don't now, holiday decor's down. You don't have the patio furniture out yet. You're probably all hunkered down for the winter still. So probably not a whole lot to be concerned with there. Just in case there's a power outage or two, which there may be some, charge your phones, keep everything charged, park the car in the garage, all that good stuff. Okay. Mary's not missing snow at all. HA, I appreciate that. No problem. It's not an easy job, but it's wonderful. I've wanted to be a meteorologist since I was 3, and 3. I have a story to back that up. But anyway, it's a dream come true. So no, it's not a hard job. It's tricky, but it's a lot of fun. It really is. Yeah. Jenny says, I can't deal without any snow. I can't stand driving in, and after having kids, it turned me nervous, Nancy. Or you can deal without any snow. My kids aren't old enough to drive, Jenny, but I can certainly relate to that. Our kids obviously are the younger range, and I can't deal with no snow because they want to play in the snow all the time. And we don't have any. I'm like, go scrape up dirt in the yard, kids. It's a lot of fun. I mean, that's what I played with, was mud growing up. But anyway, I completely understand that as they get older. So another week or so of nice, clean pavement outside of a little bit of rain here and there. So not too bad. Okay, guys, we'll keep you updated throughout tomorrow, obviously, and we'll go on from there to the next storm system after this. All right. Have a great night, everybody.